Ganda, Bonsimang.
Bonsiman. Oh, wacht. Ik kijk heel even hoe het allemaal uitpakt. Bonsiman zijn de eerste, ja hè? Oh ja,
Ja, hij zijn de eerste.
oké. Dan ga ik eventjes, ik denk, want ik kan gewoon presenten, toch?
Ja, ja, want ik ben dan de moderator en jij en Reinald, die zijn dan de sprekers.
Ja, oké. En jij geeft mij als eerste het woord, dacht ik, hè?
Ja.
Buen dia, Bonsiman.
Hey, kanta Reinald.
Yes.
Oké, dan ga ik de rest van mijn computer even afsluiten. Alle dingen die ik niet nodig heb. En dan kom ik zo.
Oké.
Ja?
Yes. No. No.
Bom dia, Turana. Bom, Simão.
Hai, bom dia. Lorenzo, Mas bom, Peter.
Bom, Simon.
Bon dia. We will start. Dear and fellow participants, welcome to the first stakeholder session regarding to the road towards the voluntary national review for Curacao. My name is Nazinga Wandels, and I am policy advisor at the Ministry of Economic Development, and I will be your moderator for today's session. As part of the Dutch Kingdom, we are preparing our voluntary national review, the VNR report. Excuse me a moment. In which each country will contribute to and showcase the steps taken towards achieving the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. We agree to do so based on the entry points formulated in the Global Sustainable Development Report. Today's session, we will focus on the second entry point, which is the sustainable and just economies. To give you a view how today's session will look like, first we will have a short introduction by the Secretariat of the National SDG Commission for Curacao. And after that, we will have a keynote on the topic sustainable and just economies. And later in the session, we will have an elevator pitch from one or more organizations that will inform us on their ongoing or executing projects or initiatives. So let's start the session. Our first speaker will be Ms. Annelies van der Ende. She is policy advisor at the Ministry of Governments, Planning and Administrative Services. And she's also member of the Secretariat for the National Commissions for SDG implementation in Curacao. But before I give Ms. Annelies the floor, I want to inform everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the chat box. And at the end of the presentation, we will answer those questions. So Ms. Annelies, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nazinga, for giving me the floor. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning in this very important session for me, and I think for you as well. I hope for you as well, and for sure for everyone involved in this topic on economy, sustainable economy. I'm just gonna elaborate you a little bit on what is a VNR and why are we executing a VNR. And so I'll be very brief. I'll start my share screen. I'll share it. It's a short presentation. If you have any questions, you can use the chat, and but if they're very if they have to be answered right away, please don't hesitate and just interrupt me. We're not a big group, so that must be possible. So our voluntary national review. I'm Annelies. I was already introduced. I work at the Ministry of BPD, Governance, Planning and Services of our government, and I'm part of the Secretariat. It's a group. The Secretariat is a group of policymakers from all the ministries. Very important, I think. So we have a cross-ministerial input. I want to share a little bit about what a voluntary national review is, what the process is, and the timeline we are committed to. Of course, very important. What can your contribution be to the VNR, and what's in it for you to be in this process? And I'll answer some questions as well. Well, according to the UN, because I think everybody is familiar with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So I didn't put a slide in here on the goals because I want to keep it short. but the goals there's an evaluation on the goals. Some countries do that very frequently, and all countries do that at least 2 times before 2030. So we're going to do it in 2022, and it's a follow-up and review process. It's a sharing of experiences with government, non-government, private sector. Everybody engages in a VNR. That's why it's multi-stakeholder. I think it should be, and it will be, very knowledge-based. So we try to get as much data as possible, as much also stories. It can also be qualitative data, but we try to make it knowledge-based as much as possible. And we, well, during the VNR process, we hope to strengthen our policies at the end, of course, and we use it as a basis for our for HLPF, the high-level political forum we have in the UN. I'll go to the next slide. Probably you are familiar with the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. It is used in a lot of processes in companies, in NGOs, and also in government. We plan what we want to do. We do the things that we planned. We check if we did the things that we planned, and we check if they accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, and then we make adjustments to them. And the VNR can be seen in this cycle as well. So if we look at Curaçao, we have the goals, the SDG goals. We committed to them in 2016. We also have our national development plan, a planning for the long term.
Name or something for garden.
That was not a question? No, I don't think so. Okay, so we have our national development plan, and we have also the roadmap in which we localize the SDGs. So we have a good plan for the future. We have also a lot of policies. I had no pictures from them, but there are too many to showcase here. But there are a lot of policies aligned with the SDGs, and so we do have, for the do, we have our roadmaps and we have our policies. The implementation is also in some cases very good, in other cases a little bit less good. We have our VNR. We have our indicators, our VNR, and also our policy evaluations to check if we do what we wanted to do. And of course, we want to do adjustments if the circumstances changes, if maybe our policies were not that good as we thought they were. If you look at our VNR, so the VNR we did in 2017, there was a Kingdom VNR as well. And we also did as Curaçao our own VNR, just to make sure that locally we also had enough knowledge to take some next steps. And because of that VNR, we had our MAPS mission, and we also had a roadmap. So the cycle is running. If you look at the process and the timeline, we started in April this year, and we do that in within the kingdom. So Aruba, Sint Maarten, and also the Netherlands are part of our project group. That's also a little bit tricky in our process timeline because we have a lot of afstemming. I don't know. I don't have the English word now, but a lot of afstemming in this. This makes the process a little bit more complicated, but that's all in the game. Right now, so we had a concept note. So what do we want to do? What are our goals of the VNR? Of course, we had our political support. And now we're in the process of the consulting, but also the process of the data and the indicators. Which one do we have, and which one we do need to showcase. And we also have our writing process, of course, what we're in the middle now. and that will last until end of February. Then, of course, we have our Council of Ministers to give their approval, and we'll present it at the HLPF, and also, of course, showcase it to the people in Curaçao. Well, what does it look like, a VNR? Maybe not that interesting to you, but for us, very important. Of course, we have our opening statements and highlights in there. We have our kingdom's introduction. We also have, for us, very important, a chapter on SIDS Islands, in which the BES Islands and also the CAS Islands will showcase some of their SIDS problems. And we have our own chapter in which we showcase what happens in Curaçao. And I think that is the chapter that's very important for you all. And of course, we have our conclusions and next steps. So the sessions we have right now are mainly giving input on chapter 5, and that's the Curaçao chapter. We do that according to some entry points. So we have today we have the session on sustainable and just economies, and every day we have another session on one of the entry points, in which the human and well-being is at the end. That's how it is. Okay, so very important for you maybe is how can I contribute, and what does my contribution, where is it taken into account, and well, what do you do with my contribution? Of course, for you, it's important to meet other people that are organizations that are working on the same level, the same field of expertise in the same areas. And we also want to give you some positive exposure within the VNR itself. So maybe the story that you tell will be published in the VNR, the Kingdom's VNR. Maybe we, and if there's not enough space for all the stories, then maybe then we're going to put them on the local website, and just to showcase what happens in Curaçao and what things we are doing in the different areas. And not only the government, but the whole of society. At the higher level, of course, we all contribute to awareness raising on the SDGs, and I hope we can contribute to creating a culture of more accountability on the SDGs, and maybe in general. So trying to make sure that our policies and also our actions are more based on evidence. Well, that's about it, about the VNR and what it is about. It was very short, very briefly. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I think we want to give the floor to you as much as possible. So maybe there are any questions, then please, I'll stop my sharing.
Thank you, Annaluz. Is there any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat box yet. So if I don't see any question, we will continue with the second speaker, which is Mr. Reinel Martis. Reinel Martis is a policy advisor at the Ministry of Economic Development and also is member of the Secretariat of the National Commission for SDG implementation in Curaçao. Reinel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lazinga. Let me start sharing the screen. Yes. Good morning, everyone. I think most of you know me, so no further introduction. I will give a brief overview of the concept of sustainable and just economies, as pointed out in the Global Sustainable Development Report by the UN. So it's one of the second of the 6 entry points or systemic approach to realizing the SDGs. So the 6 entry points, as you can see, are human well-being capabilities, sustainable and just economies, which we will cover today, food system and nutrition patterns, energy decarbonization, universal access, urban and peri-urban development, and global environmental commons. So the sustainable and just economies has several linkages between the SDGs and offers, as I mentioned, a systemic approach to realizing these. And it has to do with the following SDGs, SDG number 5, 8, 10, 12, 13, and 17. And you can see the description of the SDGs behind them. So 6 SDGs that basically are relevant to sustainable and just economies. We will see that for Curacao, we also have an additional SDG as number 7, but I will elaborate on that later on. Why these SDGs? These SDGs are central to eradicate economic hardship across, for instance, multiple dimensions, reducing poverty, tackling inequalities, closing opportunity gaps, and also creating the conditions for everyone across the life course to realize their potential. This cluster is also concerned with the safeguarding of natural environment. So we will see also SDG number 14, life below water, also be very important to the concept of sustainable and just economies. It has to do with the following components: rising inequality, lack of decent work, economic growth, gender inequality, unsustainable production and consumption, climate change and crossing other planetary boundaries, and of the last one, intersecting issues regarding human rights, abuse, and conflict. So rising inequalities, it has to do with the differences between gender, nationality, ethnic or racial background, or geography, as stipulated in the HPLF of 2020. And one example, we can see that the world's 2,152 billionaires have as much wealth as 60% of the world population of 4.6 billion people. So we see a great division of wealth in our world. So a very big inequality. And despite that we have continued economic growth, high levels of inequality persist between and within countries. And we can say that we also saw this very prominently the last few years here in Curacao based on the COVID pandemic, where we saw that the rising inequalities in our country are very predominantly, and we have to address them. Next one, lack of decent work and economic growth, has to do with SDG number 8. And most of the time, the economic growth is expressed in the terms that we call this gross domestic product, or the GDP. But however, the GDP is only an indicator that overlooks the central questions of equity, sustainability, well-being, health, and resilience, or it deems them less important. GDP only looks then as the product and services. So most of the time, it excludes critical elements of human progress, including healthy ecosystem, unpaid care work, and reduced inequalities. The next one is gender inequality. Women are most of the time cut out of their economic growth process. It has to do with their work being undervalued based on pay gaps, occupational segregation, and also discrimination within the workforce. Women most of the time also have less access to education, technology, and financing that limits their economic empowerment opportunities in the past. Unsustainable production and consumption. We see that the whole pattern of production and consumption has to be transformed. It has to be more inclusive, and it also has to ensure the rights for our next generation, our future beings. And it has to make the most out of our global commons, such as land, soil, water, air, and also the biosphere capacity. How we process greenhouse gases within the limits of what is really sustainable for the planet. Climate change is, as you know, it's part of a larger environmental crisis. This includes species extinction, ocean acidification, deforestation, land degradation, and pollution by chemicals and plastics. And we see that we have limited resources on our planet. So we are already surpassing what is really needed. So we need to really readdress how we manage these resources. So it affects both life below water, SDG number 14, and also life on land, SDG number 15. The last one is the intersecting issues, which has to do with human rights, abuse and conflicts. Most of the time has to do with human rights implication of exploitation of workers, most of the time for migrants within our global economy. And we see that in Curacao, we also have the whole issue regarding refugees, migrants, etc. What are the responses? We saw the challenges, so what are the responses that we also provided in the report? one of the responses that we have to reimagine our economic activities and practices. We do not have to focus only on the quantity of growth, but also on the quality of growth. We have to reevaluate, but also redistribute our resources better, and so we can address inequalities. We have to be more on our policy making has to be more inclusive, and we have to work on governance. So, Luz already mentioned some of the plans regarding policies in Singapore regarding sustainable and just economies. I made an overview from 2013, starting from 2013, starting with the long-term economic strategy, very important report, going on to the NBP 2016 Blue Halo report, roadmap SDG implementation, the NES, the National Export Strategy, and finalizing with what we have in progress right now is the Economic Recovery Plan, which is being developed by the Ministry of Economic Development as we speak. So a lot of plans, some of them have been completed, some of the implementation, some of them still have to be pushed more forward. What we did, we have the whole concept of the sustainable and just economies, but in our roadmap for SDG implementation, we have localized what we call the Agenda 2030 for Curaçao, made it more feasible what is needed for Curaçao. And we addressed or identified some drivers for economic sustainable just economies for Curaçao, and has to do with institutional reform, development, and next to it, the plans for that, like the NDP and the NES, the Strategic Development Roadmap, it's part of the NES. Next one, we have sectoral growth and broader engagement in economic development processes. We have the NDP again, NES, and SDR. Next one, we have implementing cross-cutting measures to support investments. We have, therefore, the investment policy developed in 2014 and revised in 2016, and will be also part of NES for export. And employment generation, decent jobs for all. This has to do with two plans, the Plan Merekonomie Meerbanen, which was developed in 2021, that was from the former cabinet, and we have carried out the economic recovery plan, which is in progress. And regarding sustainable ocean management, SDG 14, we have the Octa Blue Economy study. The current status on the progress of localization of these plans or on the concept of sustainable just economies. We have the NDP, which was approved since 2016 and has been included right now in the new governance accord in 2021 to 2025. We have, of course, the NES, National Export Strategy, the SDR, which is the part, is the roadmap basically 20. And last month, we had a further approval from the Council Minister for the continued implementation of NES. So the NES identified 6 priority sectors, which will have the greatest potential to generate jobs and foreign exchange earnings in the short, medium, and long term. But it also identified 4 key trade support functions that need to be strengthened if Curaçao needs to grow its export and generate investment. So the NES would mean that creating a strong and diversified export base to support existing industries and SMEs, emerging and future enterprises. Overall, a sustainable development diversification effort. Very important that we continue with the implementation of this plan. On SDG 12, that's the responsible consumption and production. But what we have developed in Curaçao is our national energy policy, and that's on SDG 7 basically. My microphone is making noise. Sorry. Maybe it's the air conditioning. Sorry, Annelies, thank you for that.
Sorry, Reiner, maar hij schuurt ergens langs, denk ik.
Oh, okay. Now
Ja.
better?
Ik denk het wel, ja.
Okay, thank you for that. I was so into the presentation, I didn't see the chat. Thank you for that. It's a new headphone that I have in the microphone, so getting acquainted with it. My apologies for the inconvenience. So we have the national energy policy. So basically on SDG 7, it was approved by the Council of Ministers. And what it will do, the implementation will have better use and access to renewable energy, which in the end would lower the cost and also lower the cost of doing business. So it's very important. It's on SDG 12 in the report, but localizing the whole priority for Curaçao, we see that SDG 7 then is important for us. Okay. On climate action, we have the climate change assessment. done here in Curacao, and it identified several priority areas for determining the impact of climate change in Curacao, but also the mitigation and adaptation of strategies that will be deployed. The government also installed what we call the Curacao Climate Change Policy Platform, and it has different stakeholders. We'll elaborate using data information on topics related to priority areas, and they will present the findings and possible strategies to the government. The platform consists of governmental, non-governmental organizations, academia, and stakeholders in the private sector. So a whole inclusive approach. And the localized targets have been identified already and included in what we have, a localization matrix of the Agenda 2030 SDGs for Curacao. And on SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals, I think one of the biggest important plans that we have is the roadmap for SDG implementation, and it was approved in 2018. Currently in November, so a few months ago, the National Commission got further approval from the Council of Ministers to continue with the implementation, but also the whole participation of Curacao in the VNR process, which was prominently mentioned during her presentation. And we're working on a so-called dashboard for SDG indicators. It's in progress. And also we're going to work on a youth platform for SDGs. Both will be complemented by the communication campaign. We know awareness raising and communication is very important. So that's also the next step. And I think, like Annaluz mentioned, that's why we're here today also. We are part of the VNR process. We're part of the Kingdom report. And we have a specific chapter for Curacao that we want to fill and complete and be as thorough as possible. That it will give a good overview what we have been doing in Curacao since 2015 and ongoing. On life below water, SDG 14, we have the Octa Blue Economy study, as I mentioned, and this was done together with other island governments of the Octa, and they did an assessment to identify the opportunities for further development of the blue economy in Curacao. And this assessment identified opportunities, challenges, and needs, as well as the progress and readiness of the island to develop its blue economy. So what will we have, what are the next steps? What we need to do? My humble opinion, I think one of the main things, of course, is implementation. Most of the people here in this session know we have a lot of good reports, good plans, but implementation is key. And regarding the topic of sustainable and just economies, I think implementation of initiatives like the NES, NDP, together with the International Trade Center will be very valuable for yourself. A key element is also collaboration. Public-private, government cannot do this alone, but also the private sector. So we need to work together. We need to also have updated and functional data that we can use. So I think in that way, the dashboard for SDGs will be very supportive. We have to complete and start implementation of other new plans, like I mentioned, the economic recovery plan for Curacao. It has a very ambitious title, no business as usual, towards sustainable inclusive development approach. And the focus on short term on the tourism, red tape, red carpet treatment, sustainable energy. So we see here SDG number 7 coming back, investment, but also export. And I think also coming from the government, more input and information is needed from top level government officials on current and new initiatives, and also to keep continuing guiding the process together with policy advisors and other key representatives from the government. Okay, this was my presentation, and then next up we will have then the pitch. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I will be available to answer.
Thank you, Rhino. I don't see any questions yet in the chat box. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and we will answer them as soon as possible. As we said, we will start with the elevator pitch from the organizations. We have 6 organizations. These are catalyzing sustainable action by businesses, climate action by businesses, made in Curacao, waste to value, and Green Phoenix. I think we start with catalyzing sustainable action with his of her first elevator pitch. I don't know who represent that organization. No?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, my name is Tamira La Cruz. Let me put on the video also.
Okay.
I changed the names of the, so I'm not sure it's me, but I think it's me. Okay. Can I share my screen, right? One moment. Okay. So my name is Tamira La Cruz, one of the people in my group. My team is Sharara Reader, who's also on this call. We're going to talk about sustainable action by business. And really the message we want to show is international progress and collaboration. It's SDGs 13, climate action by businesses, and SDGs 17, local and international collaboration. What happened? In August, we saw there was an international climate action challenge that was run out of Colorado, and 275 challengers, 75 teams, 28 countries, and 90 days. I want to draw your attention to the community events, number of that attended events and partnerships developed, because those were the things that we were involved with. There were 2 Curacao challengers. We had 0 budget and mostly volunteer work. It was myself, Tamira La Cruz, and Sharela Rido. And this is our story. We won an award. And let me show you a little bit. We had to make a video. So the following is part of the video. Here's our business action climate. And of course, you see that construction there in the harbor, and that's with climate change, that's going to might be an issue. Our objective was to encourage businesses to take climate action by collaborating with diverse partners in an ongoing effort. It's part of our business. Our impact, we reached 15,000 people with tips for climate action by businesses in those 90 days. Some material will be permanently on YouTube. 8 products of my enterprises were put in retail stores by Made in Curacao. We donated 100 plants to schools. But most importantly, we had 14 diverse collaborations. Some of them didn't know they were collaborating. I see Cindy Amon from Unitera also collaborated with us. Young, old, public, private, local, international. Again, international, Global Entrepreneurship Week, and also the ICAT Challenge itself. What are the lessons we learned? The first is to participate in copy-paste international regional programs. Many are tailored to big ocean states. I don't say small island dependent, whatever, so small island developing states anymore. It's a big ocean state with little resources similar to ours. So the programs are tailored to us. Keep it simple. We have very little human and financial resources. As soon as we talk about big plans, it's not going to happen. Build on ongoing efforts. Do not start separate projects. Don't be discouraged by low reactions. We are in the initial stages. Study and apply the basics of collaboration. I'm glad someone mentioned that already. Collaboration is key. And what we'd like to see the government do is facilitate, or others, facilitate and encourage climate action by businesses. Businesses are responsible for 70% of greenhouse emissions. That's the 100 companies in the world. So climate action by businesses is important. What next? We'd like to help you take action. We can implement impactful plans. We can apply for funding for you, find and engage local and international partners, baseline studies, and help you participate in the next ICAC 2022. That's it. I hope that was 2 minutes.
Thank you, Tamira. Is there any questions for Tamira?
No?
Yeah, of course there are.
Yeah.
Who's that? Okay,
because I'm very curious. You did this program and you won the competition or a part of the competition. But what did those businesses do? Because you reached out to businesses to be more sustainable. But do you have any feeling about what they did to make their business more sustainable? Or
Yes, we gave them tips on how to make their businesses more
Okay.
sustainable. By, for instance, we spoke a lot about waste recycling. We spoke also about, and some of it had to do with agricultural waste or rather garden waste. And Cindy Amon is here. So a lot of it was about waste recycling actually in those 90 days. And on this slide, you can see the LinkedIn post we made, the articles in the newspaper. We had some webinars with Mayo, among others, and at the Chamber of Commerce, there was a sustainable trades show, and we had a matchmaking for people to exchange their waste.
Okay, very good. Yes, thank you. And we can find the YouTube channel somewhere.
Yes.
Or you can
Yes.
put it maybe in the link in
Yes,
the
that's
chat.
good.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, very good. All right, I'll send it later because I need to look all of it up.
That's
right?
okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well,
Very, very beautiful initiative. Yeah.
Nice, very nice. We go with the next organization, which is Climate Action. Is there somebody from Climate Action? Yes, no? No? Okay. Then we go with the next organization, which is Made in Curacao. I think I saw Sharella. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes, here I am. Okay, I don't have a slideshow for you. I didn't know how the presentation could go. So I will tell you about 2021 and how it went for Made in Curacao. So we experienced a very slow 2021. No, very slow. Not really, but still. In 2020, people were a lot more active during the pandemic and how to survive, and we could coach a lot of more companies. So in 2021, we had in small groups, we had information, coaching and trainings that we gave. We gave information on shadows and planting trees because we gave the tip that many clients could wait outside, or you can make your business dealings outside, and having a shadow of tree can help you out. And it even cost effective because then you don't have your air conditioning running. So that is one of the tips that we shared this year. We also share tips on the wastewater management. And one that we used a lot was the air conditioning water for the companies that still use air conditioning, to use this water to go to plants and so have some greens around your business. It will change how people will perceive your business. Together with that, we had food waste management and what to do with waste of food, and just not to throw it in the silica bins, but how we can exchange products, waste products with other companies, and that we had people that took the waste for their animals or for composting. So that was nice to help each other in that way. We give a lot of tips on sustainable packaging. We are using a lot of packaging here at Curacao because we are importing a lot. So we have a lot of waste material that can be reused as packaging material for your now Made in Curacao products. So we help people out on ideas, and people could go on Pinterest and other sites and find how they can make use of that. And also on the public relation benefits, on how to explain people why to choose for your business, because you're taking these actions which will improve our island of Curacao, and how to use this for your marketing. So this we did in small groups. There was around 20 entrepreneurs that we coach and help out. For the bigger platform, that is the platform of 2,500 people that we did with social events, media exposures, and cooperation with other media. And for that one, we had our Sustainable Trade Expo. That helped us reach a lot of people also in Holland. And we have a good contact in Hungary, and they were our biggest action of this year, of the action that reached most people. We will talk about that later on. So during the Sustainable Trade Action, we put a lot of information on buy local. What is our products? What are our talents? What is the services that you can use locally? And we noticed that banking is a problem. So we cooperated with the MCB, and they exchange information on international transaction, inter-island transaction, and on Curacao itself, why people sometimes don't see the money immediately. So that was very important information to share. So sometimes people will get nervous because they don't see the money yet, and they don't trust to send a product or gift service. And if you act incorrectly when a client has already paid, you can break the whole deal. So we thought it was very important to give information on this. Furthermore, we had a viral action with the cucumber chicky, which was planted by Curacao in Hungary. And this cucumber chicky has been exported to the Netherlands and Slovenia. This action, we reach over 100,000 people via Facebook. We don't count media from television, radio, and newspaper. We had for 2 months many reactions, many shipments. We made exchange for collaboration, how local people can get products from other locals to sell. And this time was the cucumber chicky, but also there will be a training coming up this year for other UD Curacao, how we can use each other's information and experiences to exchange and grow. So that was our 2021 and the actions that we took that we think that will make us more sustainable.
Thank you, Sharela. Let me check. I don't see any question. Maybe Annaluz or Raina have any. Yeah, I see Raina raise his hand. I think he has a question.
Not a question, but just a remark or additional information. On the topic of financing, also on opening local bank accounts, this was also an issue when we were doing the implementation of the National Export Strategy. One of the main issues that we have to address before continuing with the implementation. And for that, we're establishing a work group with the central bank. We already talked to some local banks on this issue also. And we then move forward with establishing a working group with the central bank to work on this issue. It's a very important issue for the cost of doing business here in Curacao, and also for investment, new investors and investment opportunities in Curacao. So we'll be giving more information as the time goes by on the development of this working group and what will be done in regarding the whole issue of opening and bank accounts and e-commerce, etc. So it's work in progress. So, but it has been addressed, and we know it's an important issue.
Okay, thank you very much for that. It is our biggest problem as Made in Curacao is coaching people to export, and payment is the biggest issue because people will get very nervous because our costs are very high already. And then with the payment troubles, it will make it. I want to say 2 more things. We have our digital magazine, and we are using that to inform younger people and on a more relaxed way on businesses, on nature, and how to incorporate those in with each other. So our digital magazine is also reaching a lot of people. And I have to say, I had a great cooperation with Amira on the International Climate Challenge, and it was a big honor for us, of course, to win the prize. So it is to see that each time again, when people from Curacao go international, we will get the recognition that many times in Curacao ourselves don't see. So that is very nice and good to recognize.
Thank you, Sharela. Is there any questions, more questions for Sharela? Yeah, Tamia?
Yeah, I don't have a question because I know Sharala's business. I just, that little point about international collaboration, I did not mention it in my slides, but I wrote it down. The way we got to this challenge is because of Unicorsal in the diaspora. Our friend Karen Gardner, actually Shabnon Isenia, which you also know, was also a part of the challenge. And they told us to, do it. And they knew. And why did they know? Because another Unicorsal, Nanelia Wafunza, was in Mallorca and knew about this. So it came from Mallorca to Kenya to Curacao. So we really need to use our people in the diaspora and work with them, because Karen goes, yeah, you guys have to do it. You have to do it. So let's use that a little bit more.
Thank you, Tamira. And still any questions for Sharela? No? No? Okay. Then we go to the next elevator pitch, which is waste to value. Is somebody from waste to value in this call?
Hello, this is John America.
Hi, John. The
I
floor
was
is
expecting
yours.
to present this elevator pitch in Wednesday's session, so I'm not prepared to present it today. I didn't think this was the relative topic.
Okay. What we do in those cases, we do it. We just give an information
Okay, I
what
can
your
just give a
company,
quick overview.
what your company of your organization is doing, just to have a view.
We
I
can
work
join.
for Contareno.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
work-
and you can go ahead on Wednesday. So
Yes, I work for
just-
Celicor, and Celicor is part of the Tiger team for, sorry, just a minute. Okay, thank you. Tiger team for waste management processing plant, together with Aqualectra, the Minister of Economic Development, and AMN. And we recently submitted a funding proposal to RESMBID so that we can do a trajectory to find out what the best waste management path forward is to turn our waste into value. So if that will be recycling, or if it'll be composting, if waste to energy, the whole process will start with a waste characterization study, where for a few months we will actually stop vehicles entering the landfill and manually sort all the waste coming in to find out exactly the characteristics of each waste stream. So the amount of each waste stream, how wet it is, how dry it is, what it can be used for. And based on those results, we'll engage a consultant to find out what the best solutions are for turning this waste into value in the future. So that's a 1 minute elevator pitch.
Okay, thank you, John. If somebody has questions for John? No? Okay. Then we go with the next organization and the last organization, which is Green Phoenix.
Yes, that's me. Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen. This one. Oh. So, hello, everybody. My name is Sabine Berendsen. Put this in the corner. I'm the founder of Green Phoenix, and Green Phoenix is a social enterprise that is catalyzing a circular and inclusive economy to safeguard oceans. I think it's a very important project because each and every one of us is already eating one credit card of plastic on a weekly basis, which is causing a lot of health problems, obviously, that we're currently still unaware of. the extent. And basically, plastic waste is overflowing our islands and our oceans with very heavy effects on the economy. So it's not something specifically to Curacao, but it's really something global, but we need to address it on a local level. And because plastic is just used for a few minutes, very often it ends up in the waste normal bin. Material goes to waste, so it offers high costs also for cleaning it up along the road. We lose the materials, but also it's a very good material as a resource to make new products locally. So what we've been trying to do, or what we've been working on, is making a paradigm shift. So we have to change from a linear economy, go towards a circular economy. And in doing so, we work together with the Ministry of SOLV. We started with 12 persons in a learner work program, and currently we have 24 people in the learner work program, and 8 of the people that actually finalized the 1-year work and learn program are currently employees of Green Phoenix. So what we do is we collect plastic. Sorry about the dog, it's my neighbors, I can't help it. We collect plastic of numbers 1, 2, and 5, as well as aluminium. People bring it to us, but also we collect it from businesses for a small service fee. Then it's processed in our facility and we make flakes out of it. So a single type of material, small pieces, and then we can use it in our machines to 3D print new products. We can make new filaments so that we can use it in more machines. We have powder printers as well. And we also have a proposal going with Race and Bit, which will enable us to have 2 bigger printers operational by mid of this year, so that we can actually print chairs and bigger items as we want it. But we've already been experimenting quite a bit. This used to be plastic bottles, and now it's like stone-like jewelry. We are printing, 3D printing diverse products used or from PET bottles. We also make beams and blocks. So we just opened a new souvenir shop in our facility, and we made the whole interior design with our own beams. We give tours to the facility. We work with TUI Care Foundation for this and TUI. So unfortunately, obviously, the situation is a little bit difficult right now, but we put information panels in every part of the process. So basically, we're taking our visitors on a journey on how plastic can be transformed into something with high value. So our project started in my backyard in 2019. We then went to Zeelandia, and part of the time we were in Zambia as well for 1 year, because we had a little focus shift to its 3D printing personal protection equipment, the face shields. After a year, unfortunately, 2 buildings became a little bit too much for us, so we went back to Zeelandia. Except for one office, the whole building is now Green Phoenix, which is really, really cool. We made a lot of good partnerships in the last couple of years, and well, this is our current team, which is really awesome, because these people used to be unemployed long term. Some of them have been through traumatic experiences. There are people with mental or physical disabilities, and quite a few of them that finalized the work and learn program, which is 1 year, were able to find a job, some with us, some with partners. And this is something that, if I look at the environmental impact that we started or aiming for, it's not where we want it to be, but the social impact definitely is bigger than we expected it to be in the beginning. So well, I can talk for hours about Green Phoenix. Thank you for this, allowing me to give this short introduction. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And if there are any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Sabina. Is there any question for Green Phoenix? I don't see in the chat box any questions. No?
Can I? Oh,
Yeah, Annaluz? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just unmute my microphone. Yeah, I think Green Phoenix is doing really good things, and you see the broad spectrum, the social impact on and the environmental impacts very much connected with each other, like all the SDGs. So I really would like to talk to Green Phoenix or Sabine about the social impact as well. So maybe it's more a question like, can I contact you later and ask you about that?
Oh, yes, of course, please do so.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
I'll do that.
I would like that very much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. And if there's no questions anymore, or if I don't see any questions not either in the chat box, then I give the word to Annaluz first, and then to Raina for the closure.
Well, yes, I want to thank you. I want to thank all the participants here in sharing their project, sharing their knowledge, and sharing with us what they accomplish, because they accomplish a lot. And like where the implementation, where the government is struggling with implementation, you see so much great ideas and so much in execution. And I think, well, I hope as a government we can create the surroundings and the environment to make your implementation happen as much as possible. And I think for our VNR, we go in the process of writing now, and I hope we can contact you all, maybe in a later stadium, just to get your story right. If we wanna, it's gonna in our VNR or maybe on our website, but maybe we can. Well, I think they're great stories and they're great accomplishments. They're not just stories, but and I hope we can give you a little bit of exposure for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Annaluz. Raina?
Yes, thank you, Annaluz, for that, and also thanks to all participants. I think we had some very interesting and great pitches today. Very to the point, 2 minutes, 1 minute, perfect. And what we see, I think, is some very important elements. Working together, collaboration is key. But we also seeing that a lot has been done, and we have to support that. And we have to strengthen those initiatives. And I think, like Annaluz mentioned, we will contact the organizations directly. I know with Sharella, I have the meeting pending since December, so we're gonna make it work. I think maybe we can do that together with Tamira, and how we can also showcase and promote your activities, for instance, on our website, PureSouth2030.cw. And we're in the process also of establishing our ambassador, SDG ambassadors for PureSouth. And I think by seeing these organizations right now, they're basically showcasing how to be an ambassador for the SDGs implementation. And we have to make that more prominently show to the public. So we're in the process also with our secretariat of engaging with the communication strategy, communication plan, etc. So that will take place, I think, early 2022. And yes, and on VNR, I think it will be, Annaluz will contact you more directly on how we can then maybe showcase also the initiatives in our Curacao chapter. I thank you very much for attending today. I think very interesting session. And tomorrow we'll have our second session on just let me check the title. It's going to be on food system and nutrition patterns. So that's going to be hosted by our other pillar from I think Planet. And then we will have on Wednesday, we have our next session on energy decarbonization. We'll have some elevator pitches, and that will be hosted also by the Ministry of Economic Development. Nazinga, I give you the floor back. Maybe
Yes. Thank you, Rhino. Thank you, Annaluz. Thank you, all participants. And I see you next time in the next session. Have a nice day. Bom Simang.
Have a good day. Once a month, really. Weet je trouwens gewoon dit man?
Ja, ach. Ja, ik weet niet wat je er precies mee kan, maar... En ik viel me op dat er 2 of 3 niet waren. 2? Toch? Die een pitch zouden houden.